From 1878 to 1968, there were 71 lake captains that called Bayview, Wisconsin, on the shore of Lake Michigan, their home. While they lived here, they captained 195 different ships, from tugboats to schooners to steamships, in voyages that took them to every one of the Great Lakes. Join us now for another episode of Bayview, Town of Lake Captains, where we explore not only these captains, but also their ships, their homes, their families, and their lifetime of sailing adventures on the Great Lakes.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Bayview, Town of Lake Captains, where we talk about the 71 different lake captains that once lived in Bayview, Wisconsin, from 1878 to 1968 in the age of sail and steam. This video, like the others, is sponsored by the Historic Bayview Lake Captains Society. Today I am talking to you from inside the front parlor, my front parlor, of the historic Johanna Brach House in Bayview at 515 East Lincoln Avenue. Also the former home of her husband, Captain John Brach, who was Bayview's most prolific schooner captain. She owned the schooners and he captained them all over the lakes from this house, and long ago he sat where I'm sitting now. Now today we're going to talk about something a little bit different, not a captain, but a bunch of captains, and not really going to sea, but what they did when ashore, which was usually over the winter months because the ice would freeze up and they couldn't go out on the lake to sail. So one of the most popular things that they did, among others, was play cards. And the most popular card game of the day, this is late 19th, early 20th century, was called Cinch. And a lot of captains played it. Some hosted games. Some were very good at it. A very popular pastime for them. You must remember that in those days, if you wanted to hear music, for example, you had to actually play it, or go to a theater to hear it, or another venue to hear it. There was no radio, no TV, no internet, no iPhones. In fact, at the start of this video, you saw in the upper left-hand corner, I think, hopefully below me. If not, here's a photo of it anyway, put up on the screen right now, that shows the original piano window in this house. And when I first bought the house, the original piano was right underneath this window. It's called a piano window because it's raised up. And the original piano was still here underneath the window. And I offered to buy it from the sellers of the house, and they said no, they wanted to keep it, and rightfully so. So I have still, though, the window that's here And then here's also the closest I could find what the piano looked like. This is just an example, but pretty much what it looked like when I saw it. You can see the back goes up a ways to reach up to the window. They would play sports. One of their sons was an avid bicyclist, participated in a lot of bicycle races. They had the Masonic Temple for the men and the Order of the Eastern Star for the women. These are social clubs and charitable clubs. And they had not only Masonic Temple, Order of the Eastern Star, there were many others. In the maritime world, there were quite a few. The Marine Excelsior Association, which donated a lot of money to sailors that lost their life, families that lost their lives on the lake every year. And so, besides playing the piano or going to a baseball game or bicycling, they, over the winter, played cards. And they played Cinch. So, when you check the newspapers, they're all over the news. That card game is all over the newspapers of the time. You know, so-and-so hosted a Cinch party, and they had clubs. You know, there was the Ocean Street Cinch Club. It was amazing. And the captains, and it wasn't just the captains, it was all of Bayview. So at the time, that was the most popular card game. But Bayview Lake Captains played in a lot of games and hosted a lot of games. So I thought I would share with you what I found. Not a lot in terms of, like, I've got 71 captains. I have a few of the lake captains that played. These are in the upcoming episode. The video episode narrated by our narrator in England, Simon Stanhope, coming up here in just a second. So I hope you'll enjoy it. Another part of a lake captain's life that isn't reported a lot, but they were people like any other. They had families like any other, and so I thought you might like to take a glimpse back into their life back then. So with that, I will sign off, say hats off to our Bayview Lake captains, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Welcome to another installment of Bayview, Town of Lake Captains, where we discuss the lives of the 71 different lake captains that once lived in Bayview, Wisconsin, during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, in the age of sail and steam. This discussion will include their ships, their homes, their families, and their lifetime of sailing adventures on the Great Lakes. Here is the map of lake captains' homes in Bayview, several of which hosted Cinch card game parties in the late Victorian and early Edwardian eras. Today we will not be discussing the life of a Bayview lake captain per se, but rather one of the prominent ways they spent their free time when ashore. This period of time, most often from early December until early April, they were living in their Bayview homes when the Great Lakes were frozen over, with free time to enjoy with their families. One of these activities was spent with their wives playing the card game of Cinch. During the late 19th century, many Bayview lake captains were active in local card game clubs throughout Bayview that featured the favourite game of the time, the game of Cinch. It must be remembered that during this time in history, there was no electricity, radio, television, phones, internet, or many of the other modern conveniences we enjoy today. For example, if you wanted to hear music, you either had to go to a venue, like a theatre or club, to hear it, or play it yourself. This is why many front parlours in the older homes in Bayview featured large rectangular stained glass windows higher up on the wall. These were called piano windows, for just that reason. A narrow piano was designed to be placed directly beneath it, so that the keys would be illuminated by daylight coming from the window above. When the sun went down, candles were used until gaslight appeared, the forerunner to electric light. Families would often gather together to sing, while one of them played the piano. Interestingly, when Commander Mintline, the author of this series, purchased in 1993 the historic Johanna Broch House in Bayview, Wisconsin, home of Bayview's only female shipowner and her husband, Captain John Broch, Bayview's most prolific schooner captain, the Broch's original piano from 1890 was still in the house's front parlour, sitting under the piano window, where it had been for the past 100 years. He asked if he could purchase it, but the seller chose to take it with them. Besides music, there were other means of social interaction with others to be sought out. Joining clubs, like the Masonic Temple, Order of the Eastern Star, and many others, were ways to socialize with other people. These clubs were often charitable too, helping the less fortunate. Of course, there were many other ways to spend free time with others, including such things as bicycle clubs and races, different sports, going to a theatre play, and more. One of these was playing card games, and during the Victorian period in Bayview, the game of Cinch was all the rage throughout the Bayview community. Each weekend, Bayviewers that participated in these games were documented in the local newspaper. Among these were listed Bayview lake captains and their wives. The news articles provided both the results of the games as well as future scheduled games. Several Bayview lake captains hosted these games in their homes. Prizes were often awarded in some of the larger games. There may have been other different card games and card clubs besides Cinch that were occurring during this time, but these weren't listed in the newspapers, nor were Bayview lake captains and their wives found at any other card games besides Cinch. Therefore, it's fair to say that Cinch was truly the card game of Bayview's lake captains. Here are the Bayview lake captains reported in the newspapers as being active in the Cinch card game club scene. Captain Leonard F. Caswell. Leonard and wife Anna were very much involved in Bayview Cinch card game parties. During 1897, they hosted one in their Bayview home, exact address unknown, in honour of Anna's mother, and participated in at least 2 others. Captain Edward F. Dixon, Jr. In 1897, Edward is documented participating in a Cinch game in Bayview. Captain Charles H. Ellis. Charles, wife Catherine, and son Arthur were reported frequently over the years as participants in various Cinch clubs in Bayview. 3 of these the Ellises were documented to have played at include the J.A. Cinch Club, the Lakeside Cinch Club, and the Upham Cinch Club. These were hosted on a rotating basis in the homes of each of the different clubs. The Ellises hosted several of these at their house on 501 East Oatgen Street, even organising the Oatgen Street Cinch Club. Bayview native and wife of fellow Bayview lake captain Joseph Brownell, Hattie Brownell, once took second place when the Ellises hosted the Lakeside Cinch Club at their Oatgen Street home. Catherine Ellis was quite the excellent card player, winning first prize in Cinch games at least twice. Captain James Leask. James and wife Mattie were very active in the circuit of Cinch card games. They both hosted games at their Bayview home at 2451 South Burrell Street, and attended those held in homes of friends and at the club quarters of the Milwaukee branch of the International Shipmasters Association, where James was its first president. Captain Thomas Leask, brother of Captain James Leask, is also mentioned to have played in these organised Cinch games, though the specifics were not provided. Cinch appears to have been a new game at the time, since its instructions were not provided in the well-known Book of Cards by Hoyle. This may explain why it was so exciting for people to play. Something new, something different. Since that time, however, Cinch's instructions have been codified and can be easily found on the Internet. Here are 3 links, in case any viewers of this episode would like to get the details of how the game of Cinch worked. These are also provided in the description box. Thanks for watching. This photograph isn't about Bayview or its lake captains, but it's from the same era of Great Lakes maritime history. We thought we'd close with it for enjoyment, as it captures the spirit of the era. If you'd like to read more details about Bayview lake captains' involvement in card club games centered around the game of Cinch, as well as the sources for the information contained in today's video, you can find these and more in the book Bayview, Town of Lake Captains, for sale now by individual volumes on both Amazon.com and HenschelHouseBooks.com. All proceeds from book sales go to support various maritime history projects related to Bayview's lake captains. One of these is a plaque and marker with the captains' names and addresses on it, as part of the creation of the Bayview Lake Captains Historic District, which will be the first of its kind in America. If you would like to contribute to support these projects, to include this and other markers honouring Bayview's lake captains, with 100% of all donations and contributions in all forms going to support them, please consider contributing to us through the listings found on our website under the Contribute button, as well as in the end credits at the conclusion of this video. Note, we are not a 501c3, so contributions are not tax-deductible. If, for some reason, we are unable to secure these markers, then all funds donated to this site will be given as a cash donation to the museum ship SS City of Milwaukee in Manistee, Michigan. This is the only surviving intact ship that was once captained by a Bayview lake captain, and in its case was captained by at least 2, and likely 3, totaling over 20 years between them. Finally, we also have free self-guided walking tours of Bayview's 71 lake captains' homes, using only your phone. It's simple and easy. Just go to our website shown here, find the item on the menu bar at the upper left named Free Self-Guided Walking Tours, and then scroll down to find the map with the instructions. Zoom in by street. When you find a captain's house you're interested in, click on it and details appear on the right, along with a link to the YouTube episode from this channel that provides the biography of the captain that lived there. It's free, fun, and available any time you're out walking. Just bring along your phone. I'm Simon Stanhope, narrator for these episodes. Join us again soon for the next chapter of Bayview, Town of Lake Captains.